with a great payoff. His guide was a pretty inspirational Calgarian. Paul's here to tell us about it on his final outdoor report of the season. Good morning, Paul.
Hi, David.
That means it's over?
Well,
the season's over?
I'm going to still hike.
It's your final report?
It's the final outdoor report, yeah.
That's right. So where did you go?
Up Rimwall Summit in Kananaskis country. Have you heard of it before?
Rimwall?
Yeah.
No.
If you've been up to West Wind Pass before,
Yeah.
right? That's a nice little hiking trail, very pretty little hike. Rimwall has the same start point along the Spray Lakes Road in Kananaskis. It was Adrian Huysman who invited me out on this one, and he's a junior high teacher here in Calgary. And we met when I was out broadcasting from Lake Louise a few months back when we were toasting the arrival of our new transmitter out there. And Adrian was on his way to climb Mount Athabasca, but stopped in and said, we have to do an outdoor report together, and here's why he thought Rimwall would be a great trip to feature.
I wanted to choose a scramble to promote, to try and take some of the bodies off Yamnuska and some of the new people off stuff like Mount Temple. Here you can be a beginner. You can learn about loose rock. I feel like it's terrain that introduces people to scrambling without a huge risk, and it's not that busy. Like today, for example, we heard one voice in the wind and saw two souls in the morning. We've had the summit to ourselves. It's been very bromantic. It's awesome up here, and we're really only about 4 or 5 mountains over from Ha Ling, which is probably packed right now.
Very bromantic.
Yeah.
Okay. Scrambles make some people nervous, even the notion of scrambles. So, there's hikers and then there's scrambles.
Yeah.
Aren't necessarily for beginners. So how much experience do you need to take this one on?
Yeah, so you need hiking experience, you need a bit of route finding experience, you need a certain level of comfort with exposure, but that's the nature of scrambling, right? I mean, it's defined as having to use your hands for at least part of the trip. So it's a middle ground between hiking and climbing, and as a result, there are going to be inherent risks. But this is a fairly benign choice as a scramble goes, with just a few short sections that require that hands-on climbing, with the fall being far less severe than many of the other popular scrambles. Lady McDonald, Rundle, Yamnuska, those could be quite catastrophic falls, whereas this would be far less so.
All right. What do you think of Rimwall Summit?
What I really liked is that we didn't spend much time in the trees at all. You start on that West Wind Pass trail and then branch off fairly quickly onto a much less used path, which pops you up above tree line within the hour. And then there's this wicked view of the Spray Lakes below you, the Wind Tower, Mount Lougheed, and that view made slowly picking our way through this long scree slope up to the mountain's ridge just fly by. Really pretty. And if you have a fear of heights, that's when I'd suggest you keep well back from that ridge, because there's a very dramatic drop down toward the town of Canmore, a view over to Exshaw, Yamnuska. You'll feel the butterflies for sure if you look over the edge on this one. Very impressive.
And is that the summit?
No, so you follow that ridge toward the summit for your final push to the top, which looks far more daunting than it is. This is where the hands-on climbing happens, and I'm not a lover of rocky exposure, but I felt pretty comfortable on this final section. I just make sure to bring along a good guidebook so you stay confidently en route. Now, this isn't a large country. You're not high enough there, so you won't see those changing yellows in the Alpine, but we were up and back to the car in a pretty leisurely 6 hours, which makes for a top shelf bang for your buck on this one. I think it was really nice.
We mentioned at the beginning that Adrian is an inspirational guy. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so Adrian has multiple sclerosis, and he was diagnosed more than 5 years ago, and the disease can be pretty aggressive at times. In fact, he told me that most mornings he's woken up not by his alarm clock, but by this electric shock in his legs. And it sometimes takes just a huge effort even to get out of the house and go teach. But it's his class and getting outdoors that really seemed to recharge him.
I was an avid hiker before my diagnosis, so having some trouble in my legs and having that symptom really threaten my time outdoors, it was scary. I had to sit for 22 months. It was sort of waiting for either my legs to come back online, or these outdoor spaces felt really far away from me. It certainly can make my body feel really heavy, and I worked through a lot of nausea, as you saw, a lot of pain. Yeah, so even with this illness, I'm out here working hard, working through it, and in this particular case, this particular Friday, MS didn't take that from me. I had to work through it, but it didn't take it from me. So I think really it really helps in the head, helps in the heart, and makes other things easier.
been lucky enough to be on a lot of summits with a lot of people over the years now, and being on top of Rimwall, looking down onto Canmore, over to the Three Sisters next door, definitely seemed especially sweet to Adrian, and that was a pretty cool thing to be a part of, and a great way to wrap up the Outdoor Report season 2, I thought.
And now you hang up your hiking boots, correct, for the season.
That's right.
But you are starting a new series. What are you up to?
Yeah, so I'm going to bring you a series we're calling Tools of the Trade, where each week we look at a specialized tool.